Hello, everyone, and welcome to Wind Down Wednesday, episode 19. So I got 1 week of wearing a sweater in Arizona, and now it's 90 degrees again. And I was feeling fairly agitated today. It's hot, and we've been stuck at home for so long. So I think this topic we're going to talk about tonight is perfect. And I did some toning right before this, and so I'm feeling very grounded and centered, but also very expanded. So I'm really excited about tonight's show. So first, I just want to do a little bit of an announcement about next week's show. So next week is going to be week 20, episode 20 of our Wind Down Wednesday series of our practice that we've been doing for 5 months. Next week will be 5 months. And I wanted to do something a little bit special, and the timing kind of worked out right. A few weeks ago, I talked about how I'm going to be releasing some music. I've got a kirtan, which is a call and response song that I'll be performing at a women's summit in January. And I'll be sending out some information about that. If you're on my email list, which I encourage you to go to my website, it's paulataylorenergy.com. Subscribe to my list. I don't send spam. I only send an email once every couple months when there's something exciting happening. And I will be sending the link to sign up for that women's summit. I've written a call and response specifically for the summit I'm really excited about. I'll be releasing another call and response song, hopefully in the next month or 6 weeks or so. And then the first single that I'm going to be releasing is called You Are the Light. And I wrote it probably about 6 months ago, 5 months ago, for a show called Raise Your Vibration that I've been on a couple of times. And it's the first song that I wrote that had kind of a spiritual focus to it. And I've been wanting to do this for a while, and it gave me the impetus to do that. And I'm getting ready to release the single in probably about 5 weeks. It takes a while. Once it gets to the distributor, it takes about 4 or 5 weeks to come out. So next week, we're going to do a live performance of You Are the Light. So instead of the discussion that I do at the beginning, we'll still do our meditation, but I'm going to do a live performance with my special guest star, which is my husband, Dan, who plays guitar for me. So we'll do a performance of You Are the Light, and then we'll meditate on our inner light. And it just seems like a perfect way to celebrate almost half a year of doing this practice with you all. So I hope you will join me. I'll be posting some things about it. And eventually when the single comes out, it'll be for sale on my website, and it'll also be available on all the major streaming platforms like Spotify and Amazon and Apple, iTunes, that kind of stuff. So tonight we're going to talk about distillation, and that's kind of a strange word, and I want to tell you more about where it came from. But I'm not going to go exactly in chronological order here, because I realize that sometimes at the end of a process, you look back and realize where things came from. So last week, I did my first BioTouch session. I received my first full BioTouch session since March. And I'm going to talk more about that and what happened and how that led me into this meditation where all this information about distillation came in. But I want to talk about distillation first, because it makes more sense to me that way. So I looked it up. I wanted to give a definition because the word came into my head just kind of out of nowhere, and I started writing a bunch of things down without really thinking. Sometimes we call that automatic writing. It was just coming through my intuition. And so afterwards, I like to understand things, and I remembered learning about distillation in science, but it's been a long time, and I thought, oh, is this really the right word for this? So the scientific definition of distillation is the act of purifying a liquid by process of heating and cooling, which actually applies, and I'm going to discuss that. And then the more common definition of distillation is the extraction of the most important aspects of something, which absolutely applies to what we're going to talk about tonight. So essentially, when I'm talking about spiritual distillation, what I'm talking about is the purifying by burning off that which no longer serves us, which at the root of everything that no longer serves us tends to be fear, and then the extraction of love. So in terms of the scientific, we're purifying our fear in order to extract love. And love is the most important thing there is. Love is what causes us to expand. Love is what brings compassion. Love is what brings empathy. Love is what gives us courage. So there's really only two fundamental roots of every emotion. And I've talked about this before. Fear is basically behind what we typically call negative emotions. So things like jealousy and anger and hurt. And then love is underneath the positive emotions for the most part. So when we can let go of fear and we step into love, we can do that through this distillation kind of process that came to me the other day. So part of distillation, part of the information that came through me is that we need to purify our lives. We need to simplify our lives. We distill life into a purer form. And what does that look like? What am I talking about? These are kind of abstract words. So one thing that a lot of people I know, including myself, have been doing throughout this whole year is decluttering, is physically distilling life, physically simplifying life, physically getting rid of things that no longer serve us, and then keeping the things that are precious to us. Simplifying routines, that's another thing that's happened to a lot of us this year. A lot of us aren't going to and from work. We don't have a commute anymore. Now, of course, there's been some complexity in other routines. Some routines may be simplified and some maybe have become more complicated because there's more of us at home. But simplifying our routines is another way that we can distill, we can simplify life. And then all of these things open space for growth. So the reason that decluttering is important energetically is because all of the physical things we have in our space hold energy. I had this realization a couple months ago. I've talked a little bit about my background in psychology, and my big interest in psychology was eating disorders. And I have struggled with disordered eating for much of my life, so that is probably not a surprise. But I had all these books on eating disorders. I had a lot of fiction books on eating disorders, nonfiction books. I had some textbooks. And one day I was like, why do I have these? Why am I keeping these books? I couldn't get rid of these books. I thought about it multiple times. I'm probably never going to go back into psychology. And if I did, a lot of the information has changed. It's been 20 plus years since I really studied. So I had to look at why I was holding on to these books, why I couldn't get rid of them. And I realized that the books themselves for me hold the energy of the disordered eating. And if I want to release my disordered eating and step into a healthier pattern, then part of that is getting that energy out of my field, removing those physical items that are still holding that energy in my field. So everything we have in our physical space holds energy. And when we're able to let go physically of something, that opens space energetically for expansion, for us to step out of the fear. So you can't distill what you can't see. I wrote this down and I love this, and I kind of want to make it into a meme, and maybe I will. And what do I mean by that? Awareness. So we talk about awareness probably almost every week, if not every couple weeks. So if you don't recognize your fear, you can't let go of it. And we have so much fear that we hold on to that's just been programmed through years and years and years of these patterns that we have, that we hold physically in the body, patterns of thinking, patterns of holding energy in our field, of protecting ourselves. And we can't let go of that fear if we don't know that it's there. So awareness is key to recognizing fear so that we can distill it into love. So one of the things that we're going to do during our meditation tonight, and we've done this before, is noticing where fear lives in the body. So if we don't know where the fear is being physically stored, and it is, every fear that we have is physically stored somewhere in the physical body or maybe outside the body in the energetic field, which I still consider a physical component because it has such a strong physical relationship to our body. So noticing where the fear is how we can become aware that there's fear there. And this is partly what happened to me in this session that I had. I noticed all these areas that I didn't even realize I was holding tension in. And I can't let that go unless I can see it, unless I recognize it. So the other thing that's interesting about distillation is that it doesn't happen without a fundamental change. So scientifically, we're going to take this liquid that we're trying to purify and heat and or cool it until it changes so much that it's not the same liquid anymore. We've extracted what we wanted out of this liquid. And the same thing in life. So the pressure of this pandemic is causing a fundamental change in every single person on this planet, whether they recognize it or not. This year is a year of fundamental change. It's been a year of monumental pressure, and that is an opportunity for us to distill, to change and burn off these things that we don't want to hold on to anymore, and simplify, distill it down into the most important thing, which is love. Love for yourself, love for the other people in your life, love for humanity as a whole, love for the planet. This is the most important thing, the most important practice that you can be doing right now is cultivating love in yourself. And that spreads, it ripples out. And I say that really often too, but this practice, doing this practice for yourself, you're not just doing this for yourself, and you're not just doing this for the other people that are watching with you that are practicing. We're doing this for a fundamental change in humanity. And I'm getting a little bit emotional about that. So I know that it's important, and I'm glad that it came through me today. Okay. So I want to tell you the story of where all this information came from and talk a little bit about BioTouch. So BioTouch is a very simple healing technique. It's very easy to learn. It's almost free to learn. You can learn the entire system for $18, or you can go and get a lot of the points for free. We do a lot of free webinars, and I am on the board of BioTouch. I've never really talked much about it. I don't know why I should be talking about it because it's amazing, but I'm going to talk a little bit about it tonight. So I want to talk about my experience. I'm all excited. I'm getting ahead of myself. So in BioTouch, we use 2 fingers in various places and points on the body very gently. It's a butterfly touch, and it physically calms you down. It energetically calms you down, and it brings so much self-awareness. So when I went for my very first session to the BioTouch Center here in Tucson, it had been 6 months. I hadn't been there since March. The center was closed for a while, and now we're open by appointment only. And it was a very simplified process in comparison to what it had been like. Because of the pandemic, we've really had to simplify our system. So it was just me and the practitioner. It was very quiet. The energy was very different than it used to be, and it felt very sacred to me. And I think that the simplification of the process of receiving BioTouch in this way is one of the reasons it was so affecting to me. So while I was receiving my treatment, it was totally silent. That's kind of one of the unofficial rules right now, is that we're trying to be quiet because it is done in close proximity, and we had masks on, but the less you talk, the less droplets you produce. So rather than kind of chatting or checking in with my practitioner, we were in pretty much complete silence, and I was seeing colors, and I was just feeling all of these things. It was bringing so much awareness to me. And I started to recognize all these fears. I've really been working this year. I've been working with you. I've been working on myself. I've been working with my clients. And yet here were all these fears I recognized that were just being brushed away. It was so magical. I wish that I don't have great words for it, but, I'm going to give more detail about this I'm going to actually write a blog post about my experience. I'm going to talk more about BioTouch, and I had written down a couple things, and this will be in the blog post as well, but I really wanted to say this, and this is kind of what I realized after I had this session. I felt so much better. It was like a 180-degree shift. And I hadn't been feeling bad when I went in. That's the interesting thing. I've really been feeling good and expanded, but it brought me to a whole different level of feeling good. And I'm not at a loss for words very often, but it was a very powerful experience. And BioTouch has always been very, very profound for me. It's very gentle, but it's always been very subtle. And this was not a subtle experience. This was a very powerful experience. And when I started writing, when I started getting into all this, because I started thinking about why was this so different? You know, yes, it had been 6 months and obviously I really needed it, but there was something about it, and all this information about distillation came through me. And a couple of the things I wrote down specifically about BioTouch are that BioTouch puts us in a place of clear seeing through loving touch. So that loving, gentle touch that you receive during BioTouch actually allows you to see more clearly. And that's how I was able to see these fears that I didn't even realize I was holding on to. And BioTouch is really the essence of simplicity. And that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about distilling, we're talking about purifying. And at the root of that, we're really talking about simplifying, about letting go of the things that are not serving us, about letting go of fear. And underneath that is love. And that's what BioTouch is about. So I encourage you, if you're interested in learning more about BioTouch, head to the website. It's justtouch.com. And I will be writing more about this in the blog. And I have some more time to think when I write my blog. So hopefully my words will be a little more descriptive and I won't just get completely tongue-tied and go, it was really good, because that's how I feel right now. Whew. Okay. So I'm not sure what we're doing for the meditation tonight. I said that I wasn't going to describe it anymore, and that's good because we're just going with the flow tonight. And that is so much of stepping into love. Fear is such a contracting energy. It's really that controlling, I got to know the outcome. I got to know what's going to happen. And love is the opposite of that. So it seems fitting that in this distillation meditation, I have no idea what's going to happen other than we're going to start it like we usually do. So let me take my cleansing sip of water. Okay. So get in your nice, comfortable position. As usual, I encourage you to sit up with your feet on the floor if you can. If not, you can sit on the ground. You can lie on the ground. If you lie down, you might fall asleep, and that's okay. But if you want to be present and conscious for the whole meditation, I encourage that you sit up. Be gentle with yourself. We are going to be dealing with some fears during this meditation, and as usual, breath is the best way to allow that emotion to flow through you. We don't want to shut that emotion down. We want to let it flow through and out and into this expanded state. So if you need to breathe, if you need to use that nice loud ha breath that vibrates the vagus nerve, please at any time do that. Go ahead and close your eyes. Let yourself get comfortable. Wherever you're connected to the ground, whether it's your feet or your bottom or your whole back, let yourself feel really connected to the earth. We spend so much time in our head thinking and worrying. Let yourself come fully into your body now. Allow yourself to take 3 deep breaths in through the nose and let them out with that audible ha sound. As you breathe in, breathe all the way down, let your belly expand. You can put your hands on your belly and feel it push out as you breathe in. And then sigh that breath out through the mouth. Really let yourself let go of anything you're holding on to in this moment, anything that you've been worried about that's coming up in the future, anything that's happened today or further in the past. Let yourself come into this present moment. Give yourself the gift of being present here for this meditation. Everything that's waiting for you will still be there when we're done. So continue to allow your breath to deepen. You can continue the ha breath. You can breathe in and out through the nose, or in through the nose and out through the mouth. Let your body guide you. Let your intuition guide you. And notice in your body where you are feeling any tension or discomfort. So this stagnation, this discomfort is fear. And it may be the same places you always notice tension. Maybe there's something else calling your attention tonight. So let your intuition guide you to the area of the body that's calling up for you. My knee just started jumping, like actually moving. So it must be my knee. So any kind of sign like that comes from your body or anything that pops into your mind, that's your intuitive guidance telling you to focus on that area of the body. Take a nice deep ha breath in through the nose, sigh it out, and imagine yourself breathing directly into the area of your body that you're focusing on right now. Do that 1 or 2 more times. And then start to think about what kind of emotions are coming up here. If there's something specifically coming from this part of the body, if nothing comes to you immediately, you could just think about all the changes that you've been going through this year. And let your emotions come up here. Let things come into your mind. Don't shy away. Don't run away. We're in a neutral state. If you do start to have emotions, just breathe in, sigh them out. Allow the top of your head to open. Let that crown chakra open. And invite in that loving divine energy to flow into your head now. Let it come into your face and your jaw, your neck and your throat. Continue to let your intuition check in about the emotions, about the fear that you're looking at tonight. But as you do this, call that divine energy, that unconditional love, that golden light into the neck and the shoulders. Let it come down your upper arms and into your elbows, into your forearms and wrists, into your hands. Invite this golden light, this divine love to flow into your chest and your upper back. Let it come into your abdomen and your mid-back, your low back and low belly. Notice as you relax, this energy effortlessly continues to flow down into your hips and your pelvis. Let it come into your thighs, down each leg. Take a nice deep breath into that area of support, your knees. And as you sigh it out, let that energy flow down your lower legs all the way to your ankles and your feet. Really coming present now, really coming into the body. And let yourself look at the fear you're meant to distill tonight. Again, this will come to you. For me, I instantly got the words letting go. So my fear of letting go is what I'm working with tonight. Let whatever comes to you come. Open yourself to your intuitive guidance, to your connection to that divine source of wisdom. Use that discomfort, that tension in your body to focus on if it helps you. And think about your fear now. Let yourself stay in your neutral state. Breathe whenever you need to. Use that ha breath. But look at your fear. Where is it stored in your body, in your energetic field? Where did it come from? How long has it been there? Let yourself open to any intuitive messages that are coming in for you now. Your guides are speaking to you or communicating in whatever form that takes. It's not always words. It might be just a feeling. I want you to take this fear. You can physically hold it in your hands. And imagine that we're placing it into a container. We're going to use the scientific imagery of distillation here. So maybe you have a beaker in front of you. Whatever container comes to you. And do this slowly, do this gently. This might be a large fear. It might be an overlying fear for many other fears that you're carrying in your energetic field. I think I need a bigger beaker. So gather up this fear, any related fears to this. Let yourself be gentle with this. Let this be slow and relaxed. Let yourself maintain your neutrality. You can almost imagine that you're doing this for someone else if that's helpful. That you're serving someone else right now. And you're collecting this fear. You're placing it in this beaker, in this container, whatever container it is. Maybe it's a big pot that you're going to put on a stove. Whatever imagery comes to you is right, and if you don't have any, you can use mine. And then I want you to turn your flame on, whatever kind of flame it is. I'm stuck with the beaker and the Bunsen burner here, 7th grade science. Maybe you've got a big fire outside and a cauldron. This is the time of year for that. Whatever comes to you, we're going to apply this heat to our fear. And we're going to distill this fear. We're going to distill this fear into love. And you can continue to add to your container from your field. You can see that I'm doing this physical motion. I'm being guided to actually physically move energy in my field into my container here. That's completely not necessary, but if you feel moved to do so, by all means do. And as you sit here, as this fear distills, let yourself see and feel what it would be like to live life without this fear. What would it look like in your life? What would it feel like in your body? How would your thoughts change if you distilled this fear into love? When we distill this fear into love, what will change for you? Will your relationships change? Will your relationship with yourself change? Will it change how you deal with people at work or in other social situations? Will it change how you hold tension in your body? Are there areas of your body that you'll be able to loosen up once you distill this fear into love? And as this heat continues to distill our fear, it's still heating up, it's still fundamentally changing this fear into love. I want you to take your container to your energetic sanctuary, if you're familiar with that, to your waterfall of joy, if you're familiar with that, whatever comes to you here. And if you're not familiar with those things, that's fine. I want you to take your container heat and everything, it's all portable, to the most beautiful, safe space you could possibly imagine for yourself, whatever that looks like. It's always a beach for me, but whatever it looks like for you, it may be inside or outside, maybe in nature, maybe it's a beautiful museum. Whatever comes to you here is your intuitive guidance, and let it flow. And as I just did, as you feel emotions come up, let them out with a big sigh. If you feel the need to cry, let that happen. Maybe you feel a big smile coming on your face. Maybe you feel like laughing. There's no wrong answer when we're meditating like this. When we're in flow, whatever comes is the right thing. And maybe your container has changed now that you're in this safe, loving space. This is the most loving space you could possibly be in. This is a place of true divine connection. And the love that's all around you here is already loosening the tension in your body. It's already bringing relaxation. It's already lowering your anxiety. It's expanding your heart. Just being in this space is healing. Take a look at your container now. Take a look at your fear. Maybe it's changed color. Maybe it started out a murky, dark color and now it's clear, or pink, rose, yellow. Notice if the color's changed. And if you don't see anything as usual, that's fine. Maybe you're somebody who feels and you're not a visual person. So notice if your fear feels different here. It's still transforming. Maybe you need to stir it a little bit. It's like you're making fear soup. It's going to turn out into a beautiful love 5-course meal. Your sad soup is going to feed millions of people with love and joy and bliss. Add any last ingredients into your container, into your bowl or your beaker or your cauldron. And again, check in with your body. Does it feel different? Do you feel different emotionally? Are there any last pieces of fear, any areas of tension that you can add to this process before it's over? Everything is flowing now. Anything you add at this point will transform almost instantly. We've got this nice warm boil going, and everything that's no longer needed is just evaporating off here. And it's leaving us with this beautiful concentrate of pure love and joy and bliss. As you're ready, let your heat source dwindle. Turn down your flame. Put out your flame, whatever imagery works, whatever intention works here. And once again, look into your container. Look at what you see here. I see a beautiful rose gold liquid. And I feel that love. I feel that expansion. I feel the relief that comes with letting go of this fear, with distilling this fear into love. And I set the intention to allow this fear not to come back. Affirm with me out loud if possible. I release this fear from my body and my energetic field. I release this fear from my thoughts. I allow myself the gift of the distillation of this fear into pure love. And as you're ready, pick up your container. It's no longer warm. Maybe pleasantly so, but it won't burn you. And I want you to pour what's left, this distilled fear, this love, this joy, this bliss, this beauty. Pour it over the top of your head and let it flow down your body. Let it fill the space around your body. Let it come inside and fill all of your organs, all the cells of your body that work so hard to keep you healthy. Take a nice deep breath in through your nose and sigh it out. Let this distillation, this love, this purified fear that is now love and joy and bliss flow through your being. And once again, affirm out loud if possible. I permanently release this fear from my body and energetic field. I no longer need to think thoughts that revolve around this fear. I allow myself to expand with love. I easily release new fears as they arise in my body, my mind, and my emotions. I step into the flow of divine love. Allow yourself a few last breaths here. Noticing any change in your physical body, any change in your emotional state. Maybe you're sitting up taller. Maybe you feel lighter. Maybe you feel like the energy is flowing more freely in your space. Thank your energetic sanctuary for holding this space of love for you whenever you need it. You can always come back here and you can repeat this meditation over and over again to continue to distill fear into love. Allow yourself to come back to your physical body very slowly, very gently here, maintaining your sense of calm, your sense of relief, your sense of expansion. You may allow that gate at the top of your head to gently close or leave it open for your highest good. And bring your awareness back into the head, into your face, your scalp, your jaw, your neck and throat. Let yourself come present into the body through your shoulders, through the arms, upper arms, elbows, the forearms, wrists, and hands. Let your awareness flow back into your chest and upper back, into your belly and mid back, that low back and low belly. pause for a moment at your hips and your pelvis. This is another area where we tend to hold our fears. Let that bliss and joy, that distilled love, flow down through the hips and pelvis. And coming into your thighs as you're ready. Letting that liquid love flow down your legs. Let it come into your knees, to the lower legs and ankles, into your feet. Allow yourself a moment to picture your feet grounded in whatever form of natural earth appeals to you, whether it's rich soil or sand, whatever feels appropriate here. Imagine that you're wriggling your toes in this rich earth. Feel that energy of the earth come back up into your feet and legs and mingle with your distilled love, with that pure love, that simplification, that letting go of fear. Let it linger in your body now, that rich earth energy, that divine love, and your own purified love. Affirm with me, I am fully present in my body. I am fully present in my body. I am fully present in my body. You can wiggle your fingers, roll your wrists a little bit, move your head around. Really let yourself come back. Shake your arms out, shake your legs a little bit if you want. Take one more nice deep breath in through your nose and sigh it out or let it out with that long ha sound. And as you're ready, open your eyes. Thank you so much for joining me tonight, for having the courage to distill your fear into love. Please join me next week for our 5-month celebration, where I will be performing live my upcoming single, You Are the Light, and we will be meditating on our own inner light, which I think will be very delicious. So I hope you will join me next week. When we step out of fear and into expansion, when we distill, when we purify, when we simplify, both in our physical lives, in our emotional lives, in our thoughts, and in our energetic field, there's so much that becomes possible. We are able to step into divine flow. And this is what I want for each one of you. This is what I want for all of us on this planet. And I thank you once again for joining me for this practice. Have a wonderful rest of your night and a wonderful rest of your week. And I will see you next week for a very special Wind Down Wednesday.